What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Table That Discussion. Here, part of the Fantasy Alarm TV programming. I'm your host, Howard Bender, and we got our usual Friday crew hanging out here. We got Adam Ronis and Jen Piacenti. They were here on Wednesday as well. And then now, boom, look at that. Dan Malin and Ryan Hallam, who needs to unblur that background. Hey, what's up, Ryan Hallam? How are you in that hazy state that you're in right now?
Pretty hazy. Pretty
All
great.
right, all right. Well, let's play Grandma Fix Yourself on the Zoom meeting here and unblur your background, buddy. It's located in the settings over on Skype right now. I'm not kidding. Come on, move it. Let's go. You're blurry.
Working on it.
Struggles of live TV.
Grandma, there are 3 dots on the bottom right-hand corner of the
settings.
screen, Grandma.
Where is it?
Go to audio and video settings. Grandma, go to your audio video settings. Go to video. Unblur my background.
There it is.
Hey! Grandma, how are you today?
I've had my Metamucil, but other than that, I'm okay.
As long as you're staying regular, Grandma, that's really our
my
only
Lorna
concern.
Doones.
Ooh, I like Lorna Doones. Don't be making fun of the Lorna Doones. Well, I got Ryan Hallam. I got Dan Malin here joining Ronis and Jen. And, of course, I'm Howard Bender. Big thanks to Matt Sells for the production on the other side of the, the coin, the room. I don't know, wherever it is. But he's doing the production. We got a lot of stuff to cover here right now. First off, how is everybody doing? I'm going to start with Dan Malin, actually, because we were just talking before we started here. You live in the state of Georgia. They have opened up now for about 2-3 weeks. How's your life going?
Everything's going fine. I live in a pretty heavily populated area just outside of Atlanta that gets a lot of traffic just based on restaurants and the bars that are in my area. Not every restaurant has opened. I think the hesitancy with a lot of places that they just don't have the PPE equipment to properly open up yet. But the restaurants that are open are doing very well. The COVID numbers haven't really jumped too much in my area. So far through 2 to 3 weeks of the state being reopened, everything's going pretty well.
All right. Well, stay safe, stay healthy, because listen, we got a lot of stuff going. There's a lot of NASCAR coming up, and Matt Sell's going to need you working side by side with him on that one. Ryan, how about yourself, man? How are you doing? You're Southern New York State, right? You're like where? Like just
90 miles north of NYC.
There you go, about 90 miles north of NYC. For anybody who's looking to stalk Ryan Hallam. There you go. How are things going on for you over there?
We had our pause extended today. We are close, but not quite out of the woods, so we are still pretty locked down where I am.
All right. Everybody in your world staying safe? Family safe? Kids safe?
Everybody's good so far, knock on wood. I had a friend who had it. He also seems to be coming out of it. I saw a Facebook post today. He's going back to work on Monday, so clearly he must be okay. That's the closest it's really gotten to me around here, so that's good.
All right. Now, Adam Ronis, you are a little closer to that tri-state area over there. How are things going with you? What's the deal with New Jersey right now? Hearing rumors that they're talking about opening up parts of Jersey.
Not too much so far. I'm like 12 miles from New York City, so I'm really close. It's the same. They are going to open up the Jersey Shore Memorial Day weekend, but limited capacity. Restaurants only takeout and delivery. I don't even think you can go in the water, so it's kind of crazy. And the thing is, the temperature's picking up. It's like 84 degrees today. So I know people are going to be clamoring to go out there, and I thought about it, but if they're going to limit capacity, you could drive all the way there, and they were like, oh, that's it, we're at capacity. So I'm probably not going to do it. I would like to, but it just kind of doesn't make sense with everything being limited. So I know New York extended their stay-at-home order until June 13th. I haven't seen anything officially on Jersey yet.
All right, Jen, you're down in the L.A. County area. You just got word that they're recommending that we do the up until the end of July is the stay-at-home order How are you coping? Uh-oh. Guys, Jen's about to lose it here, so we might have to prop her up for the rest of this one. Jen, how are you doing today?
I've considered taking a trip to visit Dan Malin for the next 3 months. Do you have a spare room?
Yes. You're more than welcome to come visit.
No, it's fine. I mean, I got my groceries delivered this morning. I definitely talked to my parents this week. My mom's like, I'm not afraid of you bringing me a virus, honey. You can come to Texas. So we'll see. But it's okay. It's not bad being here. I have a patio and I can still get things delivered. And, I think it will ease up slowly. It looks like the tennis, some of the tennis courts will be open potentially in the next couple weeks. So they will be doing a little bit of easing. It's a little dramatic the way they said the end of July, but I do think we are going to be under stricter watch than a lot of other places.
Yeah, well, Northern California, we haven't been mandated for that yet, but I'm in self-exile for at least the next 6 to 8 months, and I'll let everybody else kind of do their thing. And when I get the all clear sign, then I'll wait another 2 months, and then I'll be okay to come back. But I'll tell you what, one thing that good is coming out of this whole thing. Now, I'm going to easily show my age here. I don't know if all of you, Adam, you've got a little gray in the beard there, so you might remember a little something called drive-in movie theaters, right? Apparently now they're renovating, they're redoing all the drive-in movie theaters that were around, and that could end up being the new norm, which I don't mind it. Like, I mean, I was a kid. I was a little kid when I went to a drive-in. I was, sitting in the back seat, and my parents took us, and it was some exciting stuff. Have anybody else here been to a drive-in movie?
Oh man, I saw somebody tweet the other day. They were opening drive-ins in New York, and they're like, "Where's one in New York City?" I'm like, "The whole state isn't New York City, jerk. There's like 3 by me, and I would love to go to one." So yeah, we have probably 3 within a half an hour here that are still open and going all the time.
Love it. Yo, see, Jen, there you go.
I've always wanted to do that. Like, I've had a fantasy about it, like, like how they do in Greece. They go to the drive-in movie and like, I'm not going to sing. But, I think it would be fun. But
when he's like really taking the ring off and he hits her right in the boob like that whole scene. And then she slams the door on his balls. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I learned everything I know from that movie. I think it would be so much fun if, like, someone could roller skate up to my window and give me a milkshake, though. That's what I would want if I went to a drive-in movie. I want the full experience.
Go to Sonic. Yeah, actually, Sonic is pretty cool like that.
I've been thinking that Sonic's probably been doing okay during this, right? Like, people can drive with their families, and, like, they set the tray down and back away wearing gloves. And, like, that seems like if I were going to make a bet on a fast food joint, I think Sonic's going to come out okay.
Well, we had one here. It lasted about 6 months and closed.
It's really big out here in California. We like our Sonic. And listen, good stuff. Anyway, you guys didn't tune in here to hear about Sonic and drive-in movie theaters. You want to talk some sports? We've got some sports. We're obviously mixing a whole bunch else in because, well, what else the hell is there to talk about? Sports on the shutdown. Not this weekend though. So very excited about this. Now, Adam, I know, if you want to go to the bathroom or something like that, go make yourself a sandwich in the kitchen. Cause I know that you have very, very limited interest here, but NASCAR, MMA, PGA, all coming back to live. No fans. That's fine. But we're going to have DFS for NASCAR. We've got DFS for MMA. And now we're going to have some wagering going on for the skins game that's happening over there in that little charity tournament. Does this give you guys hope for the future of MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL? Or is the return of these other sports just kind of irrelevant to the main ones? Jen, we'll start with you today.
I think it's probably irrelevant, but it does make me feel more hopeful, whether that's real or not. Just because once we see sports coming back on TV, just like when we saw KBO, I think we all got a little excited and thought maybe it can happen. Maybe there's a way to do it. But based on what's going on with the player negotiations and how many times you really do have to share a ball and you have to be standing near each other in the game, I don't know that hope is real.
All right. Adam, does this do anything for you in that realm?
No, because it's completely different. You have way more teams, more arenas, more people involved in the sport. players closer together, NBA sharing the same basketball. So, it doesn't really, it's good to see we're at least making some progress and we have some sports on, but it really doesn't change anything for baseball, basketball, football.
All right. Well, Dan, as you sit and cover NASCAR with Matt Sells and you do the podcast with him, you got to be pretty amped up about being able to cover now a live race, to be able to sit down and watch a live race. The difference between that and iRacing, how are you feeling about that?
Matt and I, if anybody listened to the podcast that we recorded last night, we are clearly very excited about the return of actual racing as opposed to iRacing. iRacing was a nice little filler, but it was so frustrating at times because Denny Hamlin's daughter turned his screen off towards the end of one race. Alex Bowman was letting his dogs drive at some point. Like there were just so many factors that just made it so stupid and annoying at times. But I'm with Jen and Ronis on this one. With MMA, NASCAR, and PGA, it's so much easier to kind of contain and take control of everything that's happening, and you can test everybody because it's mostly an individual sport. You look at NASCAR and like those guys are already in like fire suits and they have gloves, and for the most part everyone's got helmets, especially when they have to come into pit and everything. So it's easier to maintain social distancing for these sports. With team sports like baseball, hockey, and basketball, it's going to be more difficult to put in the effort to keep everyone's effort, mostly keep everybody safe. There's a lot more that has to go into the planning of the major sports. So I'm with Jen and Adam on this one. It's largely irrelevant, as excited as I am to see NASCAR back this weekend.
I'll play devil's advocate here. Here's the thing. You're all right. It's very different. Especially golf. You're kind of by yourself. You have a caddy. That's it. NASCAR. You do have a pit crew. That's a bunch of people. You're going to different race. Different courses. So that's almost like a baseball stadium. Going from stadium to stadium. Yes, it's on a much bigger scale. But at the same time, if these sports can make it happen on a small scale and they have protocols in place of how they're doing it, and maybe these bigger sports can use similar protocols and just absolutely have to magnify it 2 or 3 times or 10 times. But if a sport gets some processes in place, then that could be something that the team sports look at. And let's be honest, MMA, they're all over each other. They're swapping blood, they're swapping sweat, they're touching each other. And I know they're getting tested before. Although I think 2 in a row now, someone comes down with it right before the card happened. But I think on a smaller scale, if these sports are able to make it work, then that could put something in place for our big team sports to hopefully come back soon.
Yeah, you know what? I've got to agree with Ryan here. I think that when you do look at it and you've got, let's take the PGA event this weekend, you've got 4 guys who are all at the same hole. Yes, can they stand further apart from each other? Yes, of course they can. But it just does bring the fact that you can have these guys together. You are doing your testing in groupings. I think it probably bodes a little bit better, I think, for NBA than for the other sports, only because you've got larger teams. You can put guys on the bench. What's that, Jen?
I was going to say smaller teams in NBA, but they're also like way up in each other's faces, sweating and spitting on each other.
Yeah, but I think the big thing you guys are missing is that golf and NASCAR one location. NBA, MLB, we got to go to different stadiums, different states, different regulations. Where's Toronto going to play? New York, or the California teams? So that's the big difference. And you're dealing with a much larger scale. MMA, 20, 30 fighters? That's one baseball team.
But at the same time, you always got to follow the cash. And these big sports are losing a lot more cash by not playing than the PGA or NASCAR or MMA. They're millions and millions and millions times more motivated to get that money.
There's a lot going on with as far as if you're following the cash. Listen, isn't that what's really holding up MLB? It's kind of funny. Jen sent me a link to a tweet from Jeff Passan talking about the testing policy that they're going to be voting on for MLB. But it comes down to that plus the money going back and forth between owners and players, and everybody's trying to get their slice of the pie, so to speak. And that's definitely causing a number of the issues. Jen, explain the testing policy to anybody who may have missed that tweet from Jeff Passan.
So what they're saying is that if anybody tests positive for COVID-19, then they'll have to wait until they have passed 2 negative tests before they can return to the team. And of course, they're going to do the regular testing, all of that. But my question is, how many of us are going to want to play fantasy baseball if at any point somebody could come down with a mild case, even if they don't show symptoms, right? Because we know a lot of these guys are the kind of people who may not even show symptoms, but they're still carriers. And then they have to test negative twice before they can come back. So that's probably at least 2 weeks they're out. This is not like saying, oh, hey, Byron Buxton is injury prone, I don't want to draft him. It could be Mike Trout. It could be Christian Yelich. It could be anybody. So if you're putting down money on this, like, how comfortable do you feel that, oh, I could just be without a player for 2, 3, 4 weeks?
How is that different than a hamstring strain, though? How is it different than a hamstring? It's just an injury like anything else. I mean,
I agree. I mean, look, going in, there's more risk, but that's not what's going to turn me off. I mean, to me, the 82-game schedule is a big turnoff because fantasy baseball is a 6-month sport. We know anything could happen in the span of 6 weeks. Mike Trout could go ice cold for 4 weeks. Now you're talking 1/3 of the season that your top pick sucked, and he doesn't have the final 3 months to go on a tear. So that's, to me, is the biggest turnoff, is the 82-game schedule. Everything else, there's so many unpredictable things. Anyone can get hurt. A pitcher can go down. So, yeah, this complicates it more if you want to use that as a factor.
It can, but if people get injured, they don't then potentially infect other people with getting injured. So we're talking about if somebody are other people on their team.
Your argument's not from a health perspective, though. Your argument was playing fantasy baseball, right?
Yeah, but my argument is about playing fantasy baseball. Would you feel less confident in playing it and knowing that, like, let's say Mike Trout gets it, he's going to be out for 3 weeks, and you may lose 2 or 3 other people that he came in contact with. So are you just feeling like, what is your pool of players? You could lose like half your team. I mean, I'm not saying yay or nay.
Stacking in fantasy baseball is risky there, Jen.
Who's going to take more than one angel anyway?
Well, I mean, maybe that's a strategy, though. Maybe you don't take more than one guy per team for that reason, in case half the team goes out.
Here's what I think. Maybe we can, and I don't know if we can do this. A lot of us probably have drafted a lot of teams. I know I did before this all broke out. Can we get an expanded roster? Can we throw 3 more bench spots out there to potentially deal with that? Instead of injured list, can we get a COVID injured list, like another DL spot in case one of your guys comes down with the virus? That's the only thing I could think of. Nothing's going to stop me from playing fantasy baseball if they play baseball. But yeah, it certainly... It complicates it for sure.
It's not going to stop me either. It just might stop me spending a lot of money on it.
What about you, Dan? We haven't heard from you chime in on this.
I mean, the risk is there for every player. You could be worried about your player that possibly tests, positive, and who else he could infect. But I mean, if I'm worried about it for my team, I mean, it's just as likely to happen to a player on somebody else's team. I'm with Jen. Like, I might not be throwing down a lot of money on it. If I have some friends that threw down a lot of money on best ball leagues before the league had to go on hiatus. They're a little bit worried, especially if the season is shortened. But for me, I'm not deterred by it in any way. I mean, the risk is there for every player. It's just going to come down to fortune and luck.
All right. Well, there you go. Table that discussion for the time being. Unplanned here. I usually send you guys out a list of, 8, 10 topics that we're going to cover. Well, guess what?
Okay.
When you get some breaking news on the old Twitter machine and something happens, and I would have to say that this is probably a very controversial topic.
Ooh,
Aaron Rodgers.
I like it already.
Right? So here you
Is it
go.
Baker Mayfield?
No. Jim Trotter, who works for ESPN or SI, and he's done all that, NFL media. Breaking news, NFL owners will vote next week on a resolution that would improve a team's draft position if it hires a person of color as head coach or general manager. Currently, there are only 2 black GMs.
This is real? This is not a troll account?
No, this is
Jim
real.
Trotter's real account. Currently, there are only 2 African-American GMs and 4 head coaches of color, matching a 17-year low.
Wow.
I know if you want to take a moment here, gather your thoughts and kind of go from there. But I got to tell you, in all honesty, and I mean, this is a pretty white panel to be discussing this topic, but my first instinct is no, this is not something that you shouldn't be improving a team's draft position because they're hiring a different race based on the ability to improve your draft position. You got to be hiring based on, I got you guys, don't worry. You got to be hiring based on the quality of the coach, quality of the head coach, quality of the general manager. To me, you got to look at it with blinders on as far as race goes, because it's a business and you need to improve, you need to sell tickets. You need to put a quality product on the field. And I mean, listen, I get it. NFL is an old school white person's world. And you see a 93-year-old woman who owns the Browns and she's white and she's probably a little bit racist too. We've had, Marge Schott in MLB. So I get where it's coming from here, but to reward a team and improve draft position, you're telling me that they could suck all year and then hire somebody who is of African-American descent as a head coach or a general manager, and then what? Where do they move up on the scale? Jen, you had your hand up first, so I'll go to you.
So I agree. We're a very all-white panel, so this is a really tricky thing to talk about. But I think this sounds like not a great idea for all of the same reasons. And I can honestly say that as a woman, if you made this applied to a woman, if you said, and if you put a woman on your training staff or whatever, or a coaching staff, you get a draft pick, I don't think that's cool either. I don't. I think it should be what's on paper, what's best for the team. It's a business, like you said, it's economics. And are there African-American coaches that would be better? Very possibly. But is this the way we want to do it? It just doesn't make sense to me. And so I would just say, and I feel the same way as a woman. I know certain teams in baseball have hired women now to be batting coaches or whatever. I don't think they should get any advantage just because they did that. They should just be getting the advantage of having an awesome coach because she was the best one for the job.
And that I agree with. Ryan, let me go to you because actually, you know what? Jen brings up a very good point here as far as women involved in sports as well. And we just wrapped up the season as Survivor. And there was, not this past week, but the week before, there was a big thing made out of Sarah's speech on Survivor about being a woman in this game. When you play Survivor as a woman and you lie and you cheat and you manipulate and whatever, then you're considered a bitch. But if you're a guy and you're lying and you're cheating and you're playing the game that way, you're considered a savvy Survivor player. So we had that concept going on there. Jen brings a great point here as far as gender bias here. Talk to me. Is this, is rewarding a team based on draft, with improved draft position, the way we should be focusing on the problem that we have in sports with hiring of minorities?
And I was going to bring up the women as well because my 49ers have the first woman coach, Katie Sowers. She's also gay. So I'm not sure why, sexual orientation or gender, didn't come into this as well, why it was just race, because women are certainly very capable in sports, are getting the referees, get them into coaches and more as their sports also become more important as players. So I think that's short-sighted to just put it in this. But for another perspective, and like you said, we are all white. But if you listen to people who talk about this, African Americans who have interviewed, they don't really love this rule either, because they don't want these forced interviews that they're only getting because they're of a different race when they know darn well they don't have a shot at getting the job. So I don't know that this is going to make people of different races any happier, because and this seems like it's forcing. They're not making the strides. The NFL owners are being almost forced into it. And what about what if it's a team who has the second pick, and then they hire an African American coach, and then they get the first pick? If I was the first team, I'd be really pissed if I lost the number one pick because another team hired a coach that they could just fire next year and get somebody else.
if you look back later and you do have a winning team and they were like, it would look like you had an advantage because you got the pick. I want to be able to win fair and square with the team they gave me, not because they promoted me and gave me a better pick. It's like almost like saying, and we think you may not be as good too, so we're also going to give you an advantage. Like it's almost insulting.
Well, it's also like, if you were a head coach and you got hired, how confident would you feel in the organization if they wanted to hire you based on your merits, or if they just wanted to hire you just to move up
based on a draft pick?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is very dangerous.
Adam, what do you think?
Well, first of all, looking at it quickly, it doesn't involve first-round picks. I mean, the whole thing is stupid to begin with. It's basically you move up 6 spots from where you're slotted in the 3rd round, but preceding the coach's 2nd year. Look, we know the NFL has done a terrible job of hiring minorities. I mean, Eric Bieniemy didn't even get an interview, if I'm not mistaken, and that's a joke. So
Steve Wilkes got fired after 1 year.
They've clearly done a terrible job with this, but this is not the way to go about it. And I don't even think the minorities are going to be happy with this because it's just being forced. It's just a terrible idea, and they have to come up with a different scenario to make this work because this doesn't make any sense. And I didn't believe this was real when you first said it. I really thought it was someone's a fake account because this sounds ridiculous.
It definitely does sound ridiculous. All right, well, we'll table this discussion. It's just, there you go, some food for thought, and we'll probably have more on this as things happen when we see the vote. Grandma, you okay over there, Grandma? Grandma, did you drop your walker? Grandma.
I don't even want to tell you what just happened.
Grandma, are you okay? Grandma, did you spill a soda, Grandma? Are you okay?
Shouldn't be drinking that stuff. Not good for your health.
Oh, speaking of drinking, how about this one, guys? Back on the Red Bull.
Oh!
Back on the Red Bull. Have you seen this summer watermelon flavor, by the way?
How much sugar is in there?
Who cares?
I want to know.
Who cares? It's
Oh boy, Bender's back, baby.
This is phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal. Watermelon, for those of you watching and are of the age of drinking, I highly recommend you throw a little vodka into that. I don't have it here because I'm dealing with you knuckleheads right now. I got to keep some sort of semblance of reason, but wow, summer flavor.
It'll stop your heart, but it tastes good.
Summer lovin' had me a blast.
Grease lightning, baby. It's just coming right back every few minutes.
All right, let's stick with the NFL here, but let's talk about the players. Let's talk about stuff that's going on, hopefully, for the NFL season, fantasy football teams. I'm looking at a lot of players, been doing a lot of best ball drafts. Everybody here been doing best ball drafts? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? No, Ryan? Well, you're fired. All right, so we'll go around to the other 3 then.
Dan said no.
Dan said yes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I did.
You're fired too. Great. Jen,
Great.
Adam, how are you guys? Right? It's a little
And we won't be asked back next Friday, Dan.
menage a sports here at Table of Discussion. Way to go, guys. All right. Well, whether you've done best ball drafts or not, we have been seeing a lot of chatter going on about a lot of players. Everybody loves their shiny new toys. Everybody loves their rookies. That is, to me, suppressing the value of a number of established veterans here. There are some rookies who I feel are kind of floating under the radar as well. But what I want to do is I want to put together like our top 5 all underrated players. So, I mean, I think, the 5 of us can kind of come up with that. We can look at certain things. I'm going to start with Adam. I don't know how is this viewed on the old TV. So, all right, I'm going to go clockwise the way it's actually showing. So we're going to go Adam, Ryan, Jen, Dan, where what we can do is each one of you give me a player who you think is on the underrated side.
For me, Anthony Miller. His 3rd year in the league, his rookie year, he got a shoulder injury that he played with. He was essentially playing with one shoulder, had a good year. He had shoulder surgery after the rookie year. Last year, didn't play a full complement of snaps to midway through the year. Had a really nice stretch, I think a 4-game stretch where he had at least 13.5 points in PPR formats. And I know he hurt the shoulder again in the last week and had surgery, but look what they did. They didn't do anything to upgrade the passing game. I know they brought in Jimmy Graham, and they're talking like Jimmy Graham from like the Saints days, and that's not the case. So Allen Robinson's going to get his. He's going to get his 150 targets again. But then it's Anthony Miller, and this guy's good. His third year in the league. I just took him in a draft. I think it was round 13. So people are kind of just forgetting about Anthony Miller, and I think he could have a big year. So for me, Anthony Miller.
All right, Ryan, where are you going?
I go into the Rams and Josh Reynolds. Brandon Cooks is gone. They throw a lot, and when Cooks was last year, Reynolds did pretty well. And they throw the tight end a lot. Gurley's gone at running back. I think that Reynolds has got a shot at being a real good guy, and he's not even be drafted at the end. He could be your bench guy, and he could clearly be in your top 4 receivers during the season.
Can I disagree with that?
Sure.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, the Rams run a lot of 2 tight end sets. And, look at Cooper Kupp. I mean, Cooper Kupp was one of the best receivers. And then once Tyler Higbee emerged, he got a 15% target share from week 11 on. So there's not even enough to feel confident about Kupp. Reynolds, I just don't think is going to give you consistency. He might have a good game here or there, but, they got Kupp. They got Woods. Woods commands a big target share. Like, people sleep on Woods, I think, a little bit. That guy's been 130, 140 targets. Sean McVay's been talking up Gerald Everett, too. Let's not forget, Everett's a really good tight end. He got hurt. Higbee was dominant. I just don't think there's enough targets for Reynolds.
I don't know.
I don't think he's play enough.
I have a hard time going into the season counting on Tyler Higbee and Everett. I think they're going to split some stuff up. I think Reynolds just needs a chance. And every time he's had to come in for injuries, he's usually been successful. They spread it around a lot. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I just think he has a chance to be an explosive player.
All right. Well, let's take a group here. I know Adam's stance. I know Ryan's stance. Dan and Jen, thumbs up or thumbs down? Let me see it for Josh Reynolds. Oh, he ain't making our list, Ryan. You gotta. Yeah, you're gonna have to think of somebody else there. Majority rules on that one. So, Grandma, do me a favor. Think of another player, Grandma.
Are we going back around, or you want me to just give you one right now?
I'm going to let you think of another player while we go to Jen.
I've got them.
Nope. Grandma, you got to wait your turn, Grandma. Everybody wants to talk on the Zoom, Grandma. Everybody. Jen Piacenti.
Okay, well, I've got a bunch of players in mind, two of which we've already mentioned. So I'll go with the third one, and then maybe we'll revisit that if we need another player. I'm going to go with James Conner. I think everyone's really afraid with James Conner because of the injury, but if you look at what James Conner does when he's on the field, he's incredibly productive. And Tomlin likes to go with one lead back. So if he is healthy, if he is strong, he will absolutely be a monster. He's only 25 years old. People are all high on Raheem Mostert, but that guy's 28. Connor's 25. If you're in a dynasty league, Connor's a great pick. And, I think that worst case scenario, he's going to end up your RB2. He'll get you at least that much production. That's my vote. James Conner.
Anybody want to piss on James Conner here? He was actually going to be my call, but.
Oh, anyone? Sorry.
No. Yeah, you better be.
Got more.
Way to go, Jen.
Me and you, Howard. You ready for Thursdays and Sundays?
Oh yeah. All right. So does Connor get the thumbs up from Dan and from Adam?
It's a reluctant yes, but yeah.
I mean, I'm like borderline. So
that's not yeses. I mean, they just drafted another running back. They have Jalen Samuels. They have Benny Snell. The guy can't stay healthy. And with Ben back, I think they're going to throw a lot more this year than they did last year because they had trash at quarterback. So I'm not huge on Connor, but I don't know if I'm going to get the majority vote on this one.
I still think that when he's healthy, though, he's still running behind a really good offensive line. And, Jen made it. When he is healthy, he's really good. So the issue is like the injuries. So I get that side of it. I'm on the fence, but if I had to go one way, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go that way also. All right, so then there you go. So we who's next on the list here?
That'll be me.
That would be Dan. Dan, who's your underrated player?
I'm going to throw out another wide receiver. I'm going to say Preston Williams of the Miami Dolphins. He's currently being drafted outside the top 50 at his position. Yep. He could emerge as the wide receiver one. He was having a solid year as an undrafted rookie. Last season, tore his ACL in week 9 in a game where he had 2 touchdown catches. They're getting, they drafted Tua Tagovailoa, It's a little unclear how much he may play to start the year. I'd be surprised if he started coming out of training camp. But based on what Preston Williams did last year when he was healthy for the first half of the season, I liked what I saw. And I'm saying this as a Patriots fan, but, he's a big target. He's 6'5". I don't really think we can see another repeat year from Devontae Parker. I think the wide receiver one is wide open in Miami. So for a guy that's being drafted outside the top 50, I think Preston Williams is very, very underrated at his position.
All right. I'm getting nods from around the room. So Anthony Miller, Preston Williams, James Conner.
By the way, on Williams, he led the Dolphins in targets, yards, and receptions before getting hurt.
And we're all still very comfortable with him recovering from this torn ACL. Going to be able to cut and run. Going to be able to handle the press coverage. Everybody.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Well, then let's go to Grandma again here and see if she's got another player. Grandma, don't forget you can't say Josh Reynolds again.
Preston Williams. No. I'm gonna go. I'm going to go. I have a feeling I might get torn back on this one, too. But I'm going to say Phillip Rivers. He's being drafted as the 23rd quarterback. He's on a new team. He's got a way better offensive line. He threw 20 interceptions last year, but his team stunk. His offensive line stunk. 2 years ago, I can't even stop looking at Howard. He's 1 year removed from 4,300 yards and 32 touchdowns. He's had a long, productive career. He's got T.Y. Hilton. He's got a decent running game. He's got the weapons there. I don't know. He's not even being thought about. And he couldn't. It just didn't all disappear last year. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm drafting him like QB1, but he is just getting completely just forgotten this year.
Adam, care to take a whiz on Ryan Hallam for a second time?
Yeah, because Fensty brought this question up on our show last night, tweeting out, should Rivers be your QB1? I'm like, dude, have you seen his ADP? Like, that's not a great question, and they kind of rephrased it. But I'm the biggest Phillip Rivers fan. I love the guy. But, man, he's towards the end of his career. He doesn't have the arm strength, and he turned the ball over a ton last year. Yeah, the offensive line's better, but it's pretty clear what the Colts are going to do. They're going to run the hell out of the football with Mack and Taylor.
They use a second-round pick on Pittman. They're going
to for their future because they needed a wide receiver. They had no size. So, yeah, Rivers can throw the ball down the field to him. Hilton's a guy that's, 30 years old now and missed 6 games last year. You have to start worried about health with any receiver at the age of 30. Tell me the quarterbacks that you are going to take Rivers over, because it's a deep position. So where would you rank Rivers at quarterback? 15th?
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, what does he give you that others don't? He doesn't run. That's one thing. So right there, the floor is lower because he doesn't run at all, and he turns the ball over a ton.
He turned the ball over a ton last year.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the arm strength anymore.
He had one receiver, really. Keenan Allen.
Mike Williams is one of the best. Mike Williams
sucks.
No, he doesn't. He needs you got to look at the stats, bro. He averaged over 20 yards per catch.
Yeah, and he had, 43 catches? He's not that good.
Football. You put Mike Williams on a team where he gets volumes, he'll be one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, Rivers had weapons, man. He had Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler. Come on, man. He had weapons on that team. The offensive line wasn't great, but he had weapons. He has less weapons this year than he had last year.
Well, the line is probably more important than the weapons. I mean,
but he's not going to throw as much. The Colts have a good defense, and again, they want to run the football. It's pretty clear with what they did. They traded up to get Taylor. They're going to run the football. They don't want the ball in Rivers' hands. He's not getting 600 pass attempts. They don't want him to turn the ball over. They want him to manage the game. So it's not great for fantasy. And he's towards the end of his career. And again, I love the guy. And I always thought he was undervalued in fantasy for a long time. I just don't see it this year. There's too many other quarterbacks. I want to see the quarterbacks that you have below Rivers. Would you ever have Rivers or Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Okay, just checking.
I've got Rivers ranked on the site at 24. Yeah,
right.
24.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the area I would say.
In a super flex league, maybe, or a 2 QB league, he could be your last pick.
Underrated in super flex. There you go. Yeah. See, look at that. Right, this glass is half full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every quarterback's underrated in super flex.
In a Superflex 14-team league, then Phillip Rivers is definitely
basically every quarterback has to be started. Yeah,
in a 16-team 2-quarterback league. All right, you're taking your lumps here today. You want to try for a third? You want to try for a third time? I'll tell you what. I'll let you think one over, and I'll go with Chris Carson.
That's who I was.
Oh
say.
yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, go ahead. You can say.
No. You know, we'll find a way to tear it down if I say it. You go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll say Chris Carson. I know everybody's
personal, man.
Dude, I'm just joking. I'm totally joking.
I don't know.
Everybody's
Everyone has a different level of sensitivity, so I got to make sure. I've worked with a lot of sensitive people over here.
I promise. I have zero sensitivity.
Just don't make fun of my eyesight or my hair, and we're good.
Okay. I won't do that, Chad. Don't worry.
She's got the best hair here. Who the hell would make fun of her?
Yeah, right? There you go. I was saying Chris Carson. I know everybody's focused on the fumbles. But the bottom line is obviously Pete Carroll does have his faith in him. Rashad Penny is not going to start the season on time. They didn't draft anybody else at the running back position. Travis Homer is over there. I know that there's more talk of maybe Marshawn Lynch returning, but that's not going to stop Chris Carson from being the main focus there. And I think that he's sliding in drafts. He's still being taken at a decent spot within the top 3 rounds, but I think he's at that tail end of the running backs you have to have. And I think that that's kind of on the underrated side there. So I'm going to go with Chris Carson. I get nods. I get thumbs up. Look at that. All right, Grandma, you want to try one more? You want me to table this discussion?
Can we do Jordan Howard? Is that going to be good? He's getting drafted like the 40th running back. I know they brought in Matt Breida, but he still definitely has the value, at least at that spot. He's going to get a good number of touchdowns. I think Dolphins' offense will be good with him throwing the ball. I think it's going to open some lanes for him. Breida's going to catch a lot of passes. Howard never did, but I think based on where he's being drafted, I think Howard's a pretty good underrated. Adam?
Another terrible pick. No, I'm just kidding. I thought when they signed Howard, I didn't understand it, and I thought Miami was for sure going to draft the running back, and they didn't. So, yeah, I mean, Howard could get, 220 carries. He's probably not going to catch many passes. Obviously, it'll be Breida, but, I think this Miami team is going to be better than people think. So, he could score 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, and you're right. He's going like round 8 or 9. So, yeah, that's fine.
Brian Flores brought in Chan Gailey to run this offense in Miami, and that's actually a big deal. Gailey loves running the spread offense, and he loves being able to go with the 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. However, what he also loves doing is using play action, and you need a guy like Jordan Howard to set up that play action in this system. I mean, Flores comes from the Patriots, where it was the Erhardt-Perkins system implemented there, which bases on the power running to set up that play action and make that happen. So I do like Jordan Howard in this offense. And I'll tell you what, yeah, look at that. Grandma, everybody. Let's give it up for Brian Howard. Come on. Everybody, come on, put your hands together. Help the poor guy out.
1 out of 4 isn't bad. 1 out of 4 isn't bad.
There you go. Underrated NFL players. All right, we'll table that discussion on underrated. Let's go. Let's talk about defensive backs gone wild. No, I'm not talking about people taking off their shirts. I'm talking about what's up with the thugs of the NFL. I mean, DeAndre Baker, Quentin Dunbar apparently lose between the two of them about $70,000 at a party one night, and then 2 days later, witnesses are accusing them of armed robbery. And it is not looking good for either one of these guys. Did anybody else read this story besides me?
Yes.
How ridiculous is this?
First of all, party. What were they doing at a party? How many people were at this party? Were they 6 feet away from people at the party? When they stuck people up, did they do it from a distance? Did they actually put the gun right into them? Because now they're double risking their life with infections and guns. The whole thing is ridiculous. And at this party, supposedly, they were playing video games and gambling.
Ugh.
I mean, no. All of this.
So video games and gambling. She doesn't like video games.
Disgusted.
The guns and everything.
Guns are fine. The guns are fine.
Gambling on video games, no good?
Not only that, apparently their cars were also parked outside for like a quick getaway. And apparently Baker isn't as big of a guy as he thought, as he apparently asked the third red masked man to shoot somebody, and the guy didn't do it. So I guess DeAndre Baker sucks at covering receivers and sucks at armed robbery.
I mean, listen, I just don't get this. I don't get this at all. And to be perfectly honest, I think the NFL sucks when it comes to all of these second and third and fourth chances here. And yeah, I'm looking at your direction, Cowboys fans, former 49er, Aldon Smith. This dude has no business being in the NFL anymore. I'm sorry, but between rape accusations, gang affiliation, like, do we need another Aaron Hernandez here? He claims sobriety. He claims he's out of that life. It's not going on there. Like, how many times does this guy have to screw up in order to get another chance? And I'm looking at Baker and Dunbar. And if these guys are convicted, I want them out of the NFL. I mean, I just gone for good. I don't think that we need to be doing this second chance program here in the NFL anymore. You already made the weed policy nice and loose for all of these guys, but the rest of this thug life that they're all about, I'm sorry, man. I think they should be booted for good. Lifetime bans all around.
Yeah, I mean, you should. At worst, they should be looking at prison time. I mean, it is armed robbery. It was semi-automatic weapons. I mean, this wasn't a small deal. This was really, really bad. And I don't know if they're going to get away with it or what. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we have some guys in this league who do some really bad stuff. I mean, every league happens, but it seems like the NFL is like the most violent crimes and the biggest deals. Like, I don't see it in basketball or baseball, really, especially not to this degree. It's like they have to be like held together all times. Like, they given free time. A lot of them don't know what to do.
Howard, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you feel the same way about Aroldis Chapman?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. But I'm sure you root for him.
The domestic violence, the criminal behavior, the gang affiliation. I'm sorry. Listen, and I'm somebody who doesn't have kids, but I see millions and millions of kids looking up to these guys. Really, that's the problem. You want to talk about old school NFL ownership, or you even talk about MLB ownership, NBA ownership. It's all about money for these guys. It's all about championships. Remember when Joe Mixon was busted on video for punching a girl in the face at a fast food restaurant?
Look, the bottom line. This is not going to change. You can make the same case with musicians that kids look up to and listen to, right? They do stuff and they still have records. I mean, I know you don't know rap, but this guy Tekashi 6ix9ine freaking ratted on people. He's out and he got 2 million views on Instagram Live the other day. So if there's money to be made, it's going to continue. So these NFL players and athletes have a talent that's irreplaceable. If you can't play no more, you won't get a job. See Ray Rice. But if you still have the talent, you're going to play. It's never going to change. So,
well, one thing that's clear is money is not going to be made with these guys gambling. They're crappy gamblers. They don't know how to bet.
And the video games.
They need to go to Wager Alarm.
They do.
They need too much time
to take some of our advice. We can help them.
I think it was cards they were gambling on, not really.
Yeah, well, that's not so hard either. Just use common sense. $70,000. You lost $70,000 playing cards. You need help.
I don't think it was a quarter pot, Jen. I'm guessing they probably played for a good number.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And don't play. If you don't, if you think two of a kind is going to win, I mean.
Two of a kind?
I'm just saying.
Two of a kind.
I'm just saying they may not be smart card players.
That clicking sound you hear right now is every degenerate gambler unfollowing Jen on Twitter right now. Right? Unfollowing. Malin, you know something about unfollowing people on Twitter, right? What's going on, man? I hear there might be a little rift at home in my house here with you unfollowing people.
Yeah, well, as soon as I saw that this is a topic before we as soon as I got the email that this was a topic, I knew I had to do with the fact that I accidentally unfollowed Hallam about a week ago. About every Sunday, I just go through Twitter, and if I'm not, and I go through like the people that I follow, and I accidentally unfollowed Hallam at one point. Yeah, I mean, we had so many memories doing all those XFL podcasts, and we do MDAs together. We do this like it was a complete accident. I apologize. I didn't mean to unfollow him. I'm not even the biggest blocker. I looked at and saw how many people I blocked, and it's just like 10 porn bots.
Well,
big fan of
beauty.
beauty.
Yeah, right. I mean, listen, I'd keep the porn bots and unfollow Hallam. You've heard his underrated football advice, right? Come on.
Because of my football takes.
This guy says you should be starting Phillip Rivers and who's the other schlub?
Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds. 10 different strategies to guide you into last place in your fantasy league. Ryan Hallam, everybody.
I'm writing it. I'll be on the homepage tomorrow.
You know what though? I'm actually kind of curious here because yes, the unfollowing stuff was definitely created out of being a joke. But let's face it, man. Like, how far do people have to go with you before you start blocking them? Like, that to me is the interesting question, because I always had a policy. Like, you want to troll me, fine, troll me. I can take it. I've got a thick skin. But lately, over like I'd say within the past year, I've gotten to that point where I'm like, I don't need this aggravation anymore. I'm not getting paid to be on Twitter. I'm doling out free advice for people. I'm trying to, help promote the website. So if somebody's going to be a dick to me on Twitter, I don't need that aggravation. So I might as well just block them and not have to deal with that anymore. What about you guys? Adam, you've been on Twitter for a while. You block people because you and I have actually, when we partner up with Lisa Ann on the radio, we get all sorts of interesting tweets.
Yeah, I have actually never blocked anyone in my life. I don't do it. And, I've got a couple people that have trolled me over the years, and it feels like they're kind of needling me to get a response, and I'll never respond. So the people who respond on the tweets with Lisa Ann, I troll them. One guy's like, hey, Lisa Ann, I want to get into porn. And I said, great timing. I'm holding tryouts next week. So I just troll them back. They'll respond, oh, I love you. And I go, thanks. I appreciate the support. I love you too. I clearly know they're talking to her. So I just troll people back. But honestly, I've never blocked anyone in my life. Never.
Never. Anybody? How about you guys? Who have you blocked? Let me hear it. Something bad?
I don't even know who it is. I blocked one person once, and I was having a conversation with someone, and they jumped in, and they were just a total jerk to the other person. And I called them out for it, and they're like, "Oh, I just do Twitter because I do whatever I want." And I'm like, you know what? Other than that, I mute conversations but I just stop engaging people. I don't have the energy to get into arguments. I don't go to Twitter to aggravate myself. If that's what you're there for, you can chat with somebody else.
There you go. Malin, you ever block anyone?
No, just like the porn bots that I mentioned previously. But I mean, Twitter's just like an infinite well of idiots and jerks. So, I just keep scrolling if I don't like something. I'll mute conversations like Hallam. I think I have a strong enough spine where I can just deal with trolls and everything. Like, if anything, I'll just like it to ironically just, that's my kind of like jab back at them, is if I like something that's thrown at me. I have no need to
like a self-deprecating like.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I have a lot of self-deprecating comments in a lot of my articles, so it's like I'm not too afraid to take a shot at myself, and a lot of times when people throw jabs at me, they're kind of accurate. So,
how about you, Jen?
Just give them credit.
Well, okay, so I have blocked porn bots because women get those too, and I have muted a few things when people have said nasty things about me, which they do. They like to comment on you being a woman and having any kind of an opinion. So I just mute those. I don't block them if I don't want to see them. But interestingly, I kind of have a story about this, something that happened this week. So I was one of my friends chatting on Twitter, kind of Twitter friends, and we've been chatting for months and, good friendship, and made a joke, and he's like, oh yeah, sorry. So I have to unfollow you for something I said. And then he blocked me. And I was like, this is a joke, right? Because this is like, and then I kind of like, and then I went and like, I couldn't see any of his tweets or anything. And I was like, this has to be a joke. And then I'm so embarrassed. I started to like cry.
Jen.
Aww.
Jennifer.
Because I'm in quarantine. I can't even keep virtual friends.
Jen must add like some controversial Broadway take that he just didn't agree with.
And then later, of course, he put it back, and he's like, and I was like, he messaged me. He's like, I thought you blocked me. And he's like, oh, no, I just had to keep you blocked long enough to make sure you'd see it so it would be funny. I'm like, that is not funny.
Maybe your dad put him up.
We're in quarantine. I felt like I couldn't even keep virtual friends. And it was kind of funny, and I let it go. But like, I actually had a minute where I was like, this is horrible. Like, nobody likes me. I'm alone.
Oh.
I know.
Nobody loves me. Everybody
hates me. Guess I'll go eat worms. Yeah. But I didn't eat worms. But anyway, it's all fine, and we're friends again. And it was a joke, and I do like to joke, so it's all fine. I think.
We were all worried about you there for a second, Jen.
I know. It was really sad.
All right, let's as fun as that was, let's wrap up today's show here with something fun, something musical as well. This one was brought to the table by Jen Piacenti herself, so we will let her go first here. If you were an MLB player, what would your walk-up music be?
That was a really tricky one. There were so many to pick from, but I'm going to go with the Beatles, She's So Heavy. Because wouldn't that be hilarious?
Didn't see that one coming.
No.
If I walked into like, she's so heavy. Yeah, and then I just
strike out.
No, she wouldn't strike out. She knows what pitch is coming because
I would go Oppo Taco.
She's an Astros fan. That's right.
I would go Oppo Taco because she's got the little buzzer right there in the strap. Bzz, bzz. Adam Ronis, what hip hop classic can we expect to come from you when stepping up to the plate?
Probably Protect Your Neck by Wu-Tang Clan.
That's a terrible one. How could you even pick that?
Oh, it'd be a shame if that was actually true, Ryan, but it's not. Protect Your Neck. I like it. Malin?
I would pick something incredibly stupid. I like it when Josh Reddick comes out to Careless Whisper by Wham, or when Gerardo Parra came out to Baby Shark. I feel like Howard will appreciate this one and anyone who's seen Schitt's Creek, but there is a legitimate recording of I'm a Little Bit Alexis from the show, and I would probably just come out to that one.
Boop. Ryan, how about yourself?
I'm going a little hard rock. I'm going with Crazy Train and Black Sabbath.
Well, and doesn't every ballpark play that when the bases are loaded anyway?
Maybe. I don't know.
All aboard? No?
Maybe. I've not been to every ballpark.
All right, I was just trying to find a way to crap on your song there.
Everybody go block Ryan Hallam.
I'm going to virtual therapy after this. Thanks. That's my next Zoom is virtual therapy.
Welcome to Fantasies on the Couch with Ryan Hallam. Tell us about your mother.
Somebody just keeps asking me about my grandmother.
No, that's just you. Anyway, for me, it's Carini by Fish. Everybody knows that one. I had a dream. It was a great dream. It was me, right? My head on the body of a vintage juiced up Jason Giambi in Yankee pinstripes, right? I mean, get that picture in your head right there. Right, Bob Shepard calls my name. I take a step out of the dugout. The song starts up. The ba-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na, and I'm dragging the bat like a club, like a Neanderthal, to the plate. I dig in. I step in. You know, you eyeball the pitcher, spit out a little bit. Pitcher winds up, delivers the ball, and I woke up. I have no idea what happened there after that, but tremendous walk-up music, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Yeah, go ahead. You roll your eyes there, Malin. That's all right. Just because, you're down in Atlanta, you're in widespread panic territory. Hang out with those wooks. You won't get the wook flu or the COVID. No, you're good. All right, final thoughts from anybody out there? You want to say a little shout out to anybody? Tell your mom you love them or anything like that? Adam Ronis, start with you.
Shout out to all the women that hopefully I'll be seeing soon.
All right, so a shout out to nobody. Dan Malin.
Yeah, right. I'll send you text.
I'm not going to shout anybody out, but I will say one topic we were going to do is recommending shows, and I recently just started Dave on FXS, and I feel like this is a show that Ronis could also get into. I don't know anything about hip-hop or rap, but this show is hilarious. It's outstanding. It quickly got picked up for season 2. Go watch Dave on FXX.
Yeah, a lot of people have been telling me that, including Fensterman. So that is definitely a show I have to get on. For some reason, it's not on demand on Files. And I don't know why, because the season's over. And I keep checking, and it's not on demand. I don't know why.
I don't know. Ryan Hallam?
Just everybody, those of us who are still locked down, stay strong. We're getting there. You know, don't lose your mind. Keep on Fantasy Alarm. Follow us all on Twitter, of course, and Rick Piacenti. Follow him on Twitter as well.
Follow us all and then unfollow Ryan.
Follow Rick. Unfollow Ryan. I think we're all good there. Jen, final word.
No, I haven't got a lot to say except thanks, guys, for looking out for me. There is a new security guard at the Starbucks, so I'll be able to return to getting my coffee again tomorrow.
Safety first, as
Safety
always.
first.
I'm going to follow suit here with Dan Malin and say that, yes, you know what? Upload on Amazon Prime.
That's good, yeah.
Phenomenal show. 10 episodes only.
The hotel that it's set at is the next town down for me. The Mohonk Mountain House in New Paltz, New York.
Wow. Thanks for ruining the show for me now, Ryan. Appreciate that. Yay.
The show.
New Paltz, Poughkeepsie, Kingston. What a fabulous area that is.
Pretty
I
up
love
there.
you all like the stepchildren I never had or wanted. And that's going to do it for us here today at Table That Discussion. Big thanks to our entire panel for always bringing the heat. Big thanks to all of you for watching. Big thanks to Matt Sells for always producing. That's going to do it for us here today at Fantasy Alarm TV. I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.